She was every parent's dream, until the day she called the police. Some stories break your heart, others open your eyes. But the rarest ones? They do both and leave you forever changed. This is the story of Rita girl, who once made the world smile, and later made it weep. She had everything: beauty, brains, charm, and a future so bright it lit up the path for others. Everyone said she was destined for greatness, but they never imagined how quickly greatness could slip into grief. Her story is a mirror to our society, a warning to every home, and a quiet plea from a mother's aching heart. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't fiction. It's real, it's raw, and it just might be the wake-up call we all need before it's too late. The story of Rita. Rita was the kind of child who lit up every room she walked into. Not just because she was beautiful what she was, but because she carried a rare kind of joy. Her laugh was the kind that echoed and stayed in your memory. Her kindness, effortless. Her curiosity, endless. At school, her teachers would smile when her name came up on the roster. At church, neighbors would pinch her cheeks and say, "This one, she'll make us proud." Even at home, her mother often paused in the doorway just to watch her daughter read quietly, hum a tune, or fall asleep hugging her teddy bear. Rita was a dream in motion, a bright star just beginning to rise. But life doesn't always follow the path we dream for it. At the age of 12, something began to shift, barely noticeable at first. Rita started rolling her eyes at questions. Her once sparkling eyes now held a tired kind of defiance. She laughed less, stayed in her room more, and her grade sense, effortlessly perfect, began to slip. Her mother, a single parent who had sacrificed her own dreams just to build a better future for her daughter, tried to pull her closer. She asked questions gently. She prayed quietly. She began watching, hoping, pleading in silence. Then came the friends, the kind of girls whose loud laughter was laced with danger. Girls who talked fast, moved fast, and thought rebellion was a form of brilliance. And Rita followed. She didn't mean to, at first. It started with staying up late, then skipping homework. From there, the slope was steep and slippery. When her mother tried to correct her, begged her not to throw away her future, Rita did the unthinkable. One night, after sneaking out and being confronted, she screamed, she cried, she picked up the phone, and she called the police. When they arrived, Rita accused her mother of beating her. Her voice didn't even tremble. Her mother was so stunned she couldn't speak. The officers stood between them as if protecting the daughter from the woman who had given her everything. No chance to explain. No second opinion. Just cold protocol. Her mother was silenced, shamed and, worst of all, separated from her child not by force, but by betrayal. And so began Rita's fall. She was only 13 when she started drinking. "Just a sip," she said. Then cigarettes, then parties, then the boys. At 15, she was a regular at nightclubs, dancing under strobe lights, while her mother sat in the living room with the porch light on, hoping she'd return. Sometimes she did, sometimes she didn't. Her mother no longer dared to discipline her. The fear of another call to the police loomed like a shadow over every word. So instead, she begged, pleaded, cried. She cooked Rita's favorite meals, left the door unlocked, sat silently by the window. But nothing worked. Rita had hardened her heart and crowned herself queen of her own chaos. By 18, she had dropped out of school. The bright future everyone once talked about had vanished without a trace. And by 20, she had tasted her first overdose. 3 times she was checked into rehab. 3 times she left better. And 3 times she returned to the streets. The light in her eyes was gone. She walked like a stranger in her own body. Her voice sounded like echoes from a soul trying to find its way back. At 28, Rita stood in the mirror, unable to recognize herself. The people who once praised her now spoke in whispers of pity. She had everything. What happened? She used to be so bright. Such a waste. But here's the part most people missed. Rita wasn't just broken. She was searching. Somewhere deep down, the little girl with the starry eyes still whispered through the fog of regret, the haze of drugs, and the noise of wrong choices. She longed to go home, not just to a house, but to a self she had lost along the way. And her mother? She never stopped waiting, never stopped loving, never stopped believing that one day her daughter would return, not just physically, but spiritually. She kept a photo of young Rita in the hallway, not to mourn the past, but to remind herself of what was possible. Because somewhere in the ruins of Rita's life, a spark remained. The lesson. Rita's story is painful, but it is not unique. It is the story of countless children who mistake love for control, of countless parents too afraid to discipline, fearing society more than failure, of a world that teaches children their feelings are facts, their mistakes are truths, and their parents are enemies. We live in a time where correction is labeled abuse, and boundaries are called trauma. But without discipline, children don't find freedom, they get lost. Rita's fall wasn't sudden, it was silent. It began the moment truth became optional, when rebellion became trendy, when a generation stopped listening. But her story, though heavy, carries hope. Let it wake us up as parents, as children, as a society. Let us not fear to say no, not because we enjoy authority, but because we see the danger ahead. Let us remind our children that love sometimes says the hard things, because love sees what they can be, Camino, just what they feel. Let Rita's journey be a mirror, and may we have the courage to look into it. Final words. To every parent still praying, keep holding on. To every young person on the edge, know that it's never too late. And to a society confused between freedom and foolishness, it's time to remember who we are. Because the ladder of life isn't just for climbing, it's for catching those who are falling. And sometimes, that catch starts with a voice that dares to say, no, you are meant for more than this. If Rita's story touched your heart, made you think, or reminded you of someone you know, don't keep it to yourself. Hit the like button to let us know this story matters. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, whether it's a parent, a teen, or a friend standing at a crossroads. And if you want more powerful, real-life stories that inspire, heal, and open eyes, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's always another story waiting to change a life. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes, a single story can be the spark that saves a soul.